Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I know the title makes my dad sound like a bad guy, neglecting his daughter, but hear me out first. People make mistakes. I made mistakes too. But I'm asking you guys if what I did warranted such an overreaction from my husband, or was he just an a hole looking for an excuse to do this? So, me and my husband, we pick our daughter from kindergarten on alternative days. As we both have pretty busy work schedules, it's quite impossible to get away, and that's the best way to share responsibility. So, it was my husband's turn to pick our daughter, and I was busy with a client when I got a call from school. The school said that they found my daughter outside school grounds crying alone and are now keeping her safe in the staff room. That was surprising because she was supposed to be picked up 2 hours ago, but for some reason my husband forgot and he didn't even leave me a message saying that he'll not be able to make it. So I quickly went to the school and picked her up. The room teacher was concerned about our home life and did warn me. I took my daughter to my car, but for some reason she didn't stop crying. I asked her what was wrong and told her not to be scared as Mama's here now, but she kept on crying. On further prying, I found out that her dad came by around the time that he was supposed to pick her up. She then told me that Daddy took her outside the school and told her to be a strong girl. He told her that Daddy has to go somewhere for a long, long time, and his sweet little girl can't go with Daddy. He then said to her she should not worry because even though she won't see Daddy, she won't miss him very much, and he's going to make sure that she gets everything she wants. He promised her that she'd be getting a lot of presents for her birthday and that Mommy will also get her a new dad. I was shocked to hear that. A new dad? I was scared to my bones hearing that because I thought he didn't know. I thought I hid it well, but from what my daughter is saying, he must have found out. So, because of our busy lives and very competitive careers, me and my husband, we rarely get time for ourselves. Whatever small breathers we are able to take, they are spent with our daughter to make sure she doesn't feel neglected or ignored in any way. That left our own personal life in shambles, and we grew apart after a while. But soon after, I found myself being attracted to one of my work partners and ended up sleeping with him on one of our business trips. Initially, it was nothing more than about quick sex, but he kept pursuing me and wore me down. We started going out, and if things were going to work out between us, I might have left my husband. But hearing what my daughter said, a chill ran down my spine, and I realized he knew. Somehow, he knew about my affair and decided to leave me instead. But what kind of a man would leave his daughter too? I understand that he'd want to leave me and have no contact with me, but to leave his daughter alone outside school in a dangerous locality? That was a crappy move. We might have our differences, we might not see eye to eye on many things, and we might have fought constantly, but I always believed that when it comes to his kid, he'd be nothing but a loving, caring, responsible father. Then why did he behave like an a-hole and destroy our daughter's whole world? How can a father be so cruel and hurt their own child? But something was still off. Why did he tell her that she'd get more presents on her birthdays? What was that nonsense about? That's when I saw the credit messages from my bank. After checking my transaction history, I found out that he had deposited a large sum of money in my bank. I called my bank immediately to ask them the history of my bank transactions. They sent me a PDF with all the details. I checked the name and account of the last transaction and was confused as hell. What was happening? If my husband knows about my affair, why is he sending me money? I called him immediately. There was no answer. I leave him a text asking him where he is and why he deposited money in my account. I get back a text reply from him saying that the money is for his daughter and her needs, and that he'll do his part and give me childcare every month. But he doesn't want anything to do with me, and that includes being a part of our daughter's life. So this a-hole just up and left a child behind, and he thinks money would solve all his problems? I was feeling regret in the beginning at what I've done and for destroying this family, but after seeing that I had nothing but rage. I know what I did was wrong, but to wash your hands of a human he created is worse. We could have talked about it. We could have gotten a divorce mutually and worked as adults. Why did this man decide to walk out just like that? Was it that easy? So now I can't help but think that he was tired of our married life. which, not gonna lie, I already suspected, so it wasn't that big a surprise. But to think he'd use my affair as a reason to leave a kid behind, that was the most shocking thing. That made me angry, and I don't think I'm the real a-hole here. Do you guys think what he did was way worse than what I did? Relationships fall apart all the time, but walking out on a child? Isn't that a sign of a royally crappy man? This whole last week has been the absolute worst of my life. After my husband just walked out of our lives, my responsibilities doubled. I couldn't pick up my daughter from school every day as it'd mean taking half days off every day. I also needed to be present in her life more than ever because such a sudden change of losing a father like that could be traumatic. And if I'm not here for her to lean on or to guide her through her emotions, then it might tamper her proper emotional growth and create issues in the future. I also needed to hire a babysitter who can pick her up from school daily, help her with homework, and even feed her. I was basically hiring a nanny, so I took a few days off of work to figure all these things out. I spent most of my time with my daughter, and finally, after doing countless interviews, I was able to find a sitter who was responsible and came with great reviews. I also tried to get in touch with my husband regarding us ending our relationship. If he doesn't want the burden of a child, then it's fine with me, but he needs to legally give up his rights and custody. But I couldn't get in touch with him. As I have to return to work tomorrow, I'll put a pin on this matter. Once I get a breather, I'll look for a lawyer and file for divorce. I also talked to my office partner I was dating and told him that we need to take a break. I need to devote all my energy right now to my daughter. I've already helped enough to destroy her life completely, and I don't want to sneak around her and risk getting caught. With how I'm exhausted after a whole day, I'm bound to make more and more mistakes, and I don't want extra stress of anything. My daughter's life is unstable right now, and until she gets some stability back, I'm going to prioritize her needs above everything else. It's been quite a while since I updated here. I finally hired a private lawyer and was able to file for a divorce. There still hasn't been any contact between me and my soon to be ex husband, but surely a court notice would get his attention. It's not like he can ignore the law like he ignored my calls and texts. Since I'm expecting the divorce to be mutual without any fuss, I opted for a private judge and no court drama. I'm also planning to get full legal custody of my child to make sure in future that wretched man can't try and take her away. If everything goes according to plan, I'll be legally able to kick him out of my life for good. My daughter is also doing a little better. She still sometimes asks me why daddy hasn't called her yet or when daddy will come home. Her birthday came and went by, and as was promised, she did get a lot of gifts this year. But my poor baby just asked why daddy didn't wish her, and that made my heart break. How can I tell her that her father would never wish her again? Call me a coward, but I can't bring myself to tell her I'm the reason her daddy left. I just need a little more time before I break all her hopes. Last week, my divorce was finalized. I also got the paper saying I hold the sole custody of my daughter. My ex husband didn't fight me on anything and agreed to settle the matter quietly. Honestly, the way he walked out of that conference room, it looked like he was running away from a plague. Anyway, there was one more hurdle for me to cross before I could finally close this chapter. I sat with my daughter that night and told her the truth. I told her that mommy and daddy will be living separately forever and that daddy isn't going to see her again. Her first question to me was, why did daddy not like her? That broke my heart. I told her that daddy loves her very much. How can anyone not love her? I told her that it's mommy that daddy didn't like because mommy did something horrible. No matter what, I desperately wanted my child to not lose confidence in herself. I'll be fine if she hates me as long as she doesn't fall into a pattern of constantly striving to be perfect just so her dad can come back and like her. I told her that sometimes things don't go as we plan and that mom and dad fight, but that doesn't mean they don't love her. It was a long and hard conversation, but it was something that needed to be done. My life has also found a routine, and as my daughter keeps growing, I'll find more time for myself. I also got back with the guy from my office, and we're dating openly now. Let's see where everything goes this time, but I've decided to keep my dating life separate from my daughter. YTA, you got into an affair, cheated on your husband, and lied to your daughter. What you got in return was deserved. Your husband did the right thing, leaving a woman who does nothing but lie and cheat. EAH. That little girl doesn't deserve your broken home. In my opinion, a foster family would have been far better. You and your husband, you both are a-holes who are irresponsible and destroyed a young girl's life. You both do not deserve her. So I, 16 female, have recently begun applying for internships and jobs to spice up my resume. I have a strong passion for graphic design and visual effects. In the past, I have designed YouTube banners for many well known people, edited their videos, and more. All of my work is watermarked with my name unless it's commissioned. My cousin, 23 female, who has been very close to me since I was young, has had a lot of trouble finding a job. She's also pursuing the same field. One day, my cousin asked to see my portfolio with all my projects. Since we were so close, I didn't give it a second thought and sent her everything. My portfolio contains my best work. Keep in mind that it was watermarked with my name and socials in the bottom left corner. A few weeks went by, and my cousin had not found a job. Every once in a while, she comes and visits us and asks for my parents' questions, since her parents are out of state, about applying for jobs. She showed them her portfolio, resume, etc. When she let me see it, I was shocked. She had put all of my designs into her portfolio. All she did was cover my watermark with an ugly black bar with her name on top. She asked, beaming, if I thought it was nice. I didn't want to embarrass her and cause a scene, so I just nodded. The following week, our entire extended family visited for dinner. My cousin told everyone that she finally landed a job, a rather well paying one for a graphic designer. She went on and on talking about how the interviewer mentioned that he was very impressed with her work. I wasn't exactly comfortable through all this, knowing that she had stolen my work. But I kept my composure. The issue happened when my family started telling me to be more like my cousin and not laze around. I lost it. I started yelling at my family and cousin about how she had stolen my work and that all she knew how to do was add a black bar and type her name out. I called her untalented enough that she felt the need to steal from a 16-year-old. My family was shocked. My cousin started crying and yelling that she had no idea what I was talking about, so I pulled up the messages that she sent me asking for my portfolio. However, my parents didn't believe me and said that if I was telling the truth, why did I wait so long to say something? Even after explaining the entire situation to everyone, I was not trusted. And now my whole family is against me for causing a scene and making my cousin cry when we were supposed to be celebrating. NTA, find out who hired her and report her for stealing your portfolio. She can take a long walk off a short pier for stealing your work and then getting a job based on it. Ha! Wait till they expect her to produce the same type of work. NTA, the only thing you did wrong was not confront her when you first discovered she had stolen the stuff. NTA 1,000 times. My daughter is an artist, and I would be pissed if anyone did this to her, much less a cousin. What does she expect you to complete her work assignments too? I think you are well within your rights to contact her work and explain she stole the art from you. You have all the original designs on your computer, right? Should be fairly easy to prove you did it. Also, have another talk with your mom or dad. Pick whoever is most likely to hear you out. Prove when you did the art pieces. Heck, draw one right in front of them and challenge her to do the same. Do not let someone else take credit for your hard work. She is awful. Never let her near your art again. I hold a senior position in the firm I work for and am responsible for around 25 people. Within that department is Dave, who is in his early 30s and a complete fantasist. He's well known for being a complete bullshitter and is generally disliked by the executives and staff alike. If you've got a giraffe, he has two giraffes who can sing the alphabet backwards, etc. He also makes up bizarre and ridiculous stories to stay relevant and gets involved in tasks, conversations, and even operations that have nothing to do with him. There have been several occasions where he even tells senior members of the team how to run their particular departments, despite the fact that he has no experience on what it is they manage and is currently on an action plan due to lack of performance. Overall, he's just completely unaware. Cutting to the point, I had taken out my department to thank them for a record month when Dave starts hijacking the conversation once more and proceeds to tell us all about his custom built Ford Mustang that he and his uncle built, which was so fast it outrun the police in a wild chase. Completely irrelevant to the topic at hand. And to make it even worse, Dave hasn't got a license and barely scrapes by renting a studio apartment and has definitely not got the money to do that. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. In response to this, I said, Dave, do you ever just stop and think how ridiculous you sound? Nobody buys it. If you put as much effort into your work as you do into making up stories, you could probably actually own a Mustang. He went red and shut up entirely and now doesn't really talk to anyone. This happened outside work hours, but in front of a few members of my team, his colleagues, and two other department heads. I've been told by the other department leaders that they agree with me and the general opinion seems to be in my favor, but I feel I could have handled it better. Honestly, not sure of judgment on this. This guy definitely needs a reality check because what he was saying was completely ridiculous and sounds like he was being an idiot overall and just annoying everyone. And sometimes the only answer to these situations is to be a bit of an ass in giving them that reality check because they don't get it when you say it in a kind of way. So maybe a justified a hole is the answer. Yikes. Yeah, you definitely should have handled that better. Humiliating him in public was awful. I agree that behavior like that is annoying, but there are better ways to handle it, like a freaking private conversation instead of in front of a lot of people he works with. YTA, you owe him an apology, not for finally calling him out, but for how you did it.